Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game, the podcast where I, your host Connor McCabe, bring on a guest to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. This is a podcast about what makes video games special to different people. A little bit of housekeeping up top is that anything that my guest or I plug on the podcast today, whether it be an unlisted YouTube video, a short film perhaps, or a Patreon with more bonus video game podcasts, you'll be able to find those links in the show notes wherever you're listening or watching. So if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the Apple Podcast app, if you scroll down and look at the episode details, you'll find some nice little organized links that I have made for you. That'll do it for the housekeeping, and I'll finally introduce my guest for today's episode. So please welcome to the microphone, filmmaker and newfound hooper, Nick Luciano. Nick, welcome to the pod.
Hey, Connor, thanks so much. And thank you. I am a newfound hooper.
I mean, listener, if you could just see this guy run up and down the court, you might just think that you have seen, I don't know, God herself?
Yeah, that's right. Running up and down the court, but not when handling the ball.
Yes, that can, even for me, I'm like, half the time I'm dribbling up the court, even if it looks good, I'm like panicking internally. And I just want everyone to note there that I'm kind of an ally by labeling a potential god as her. So I think everyone's clocked that. Everyone knows that you're a hooper. Everyone knows that I am just a standout person. But dude, I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today. You and I have known each other for, Nick, we maybe have casually known each other for potentially 8 or so years, 9 maybe. I feel like we could categorize ourselves as people who have been distantly friendly for a while. Does that sound fair up until kind of recently?
Totally, yeah. I think I'd see you at Zebulon. Or like a random gathering, like, oh, hey, man, how you doing?
Yes.
And then that would be it. But like I had heard about you through friends or that you are also a gamer, like retro games. So, yeah, I think that's an accurate description of our relationship until recently.
I feel so good about that then. And I think, well, obviously we were talking, we've been referencing basketball the whole time. We have been playing... I know the listener's dying to know why I brought that up, but we've been playing a little casual game of hoops with a big sweet group of friends on Thursdays recently. And I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, you came up to me and you were like, I heard you're the guy to talk to about retro video games. And Nick, when I say you walked into a trap, buddy, I've already got you on the podcast, so I hope that was apparent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got me coming up and saying that to you has led me to spending my Friday afternoon, this is Labor Day weekend, recording this with you.
Yes, by choice, of course. Even if I maybe had missed our original appointment time earlier for reasons that we won't even get into on the show. But dude, so because of that, we have been, we've been seeing each other a lot more. We've been playing basketball. We've been talking about video games here and there as well. And that's kind of how we find ourselves on the podcast. I mean, I know you also, I know we've been referencing your filmmaking as well. I know that you are a filmmaker and a comedian. But Nick, what do you want to share about yourself with the listener? What should we know about you today?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'd love to share that I do have a current passion for retro gaming.
Huge.
This is unrelated to plugging things. But I still have, just keeping on the gaming topic, I still have all of my NES games, most of my NES games from when I was a kid. My Super Nintendo games. N64 complete, the boxes and instruction booklets.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't know that these were things that would become more valuable over time, and that this would be a trend now with younger generations too, who are finding, retro games and liking physical media a lot.
Yes, that's amazing. I mean, I can see them here. They're off camera, but I was a big Nintendo 64 head as well. It was the first console that I felt ownership over outside of probably my my original Game Boy, but those boxes, the cardboard box generation in particular, well, generations rather, of the first 3 Nintendo systems plus some of the handhelds, those things could get destroyed so easily. So I'm so impressed to hear that do you have all of yours? Do you have like a few? Because I have 4. I have like probably 25, 30 N64 games. I only have 4 boxes, and some of them are in bad shape.
Yeah, I would say I have about around 10 complete N64 games, and some of them are still in good shape. Like Ocarina of Time is in good shape. It was preserved at my parents' house in Pennsylvania, untouched. They have a lot of stuff there that they haven't gone through, so it just sat there. So and I have Donkey Kong 64 complete, and I originally bought that because it had the expansion pack with it, so that I didn't have to buy it for Perfect Dark. I bought like a used version of Donkey Kong 64 from Blockbuster Video. Okay. So yeah, and I work at Blockbuster Video. I guess I want people to know that about me, is that I work at Blockbuster Video during this time.
Amazing.
And I would buy the used games. I bought Majora's Mask used, so I think I have that complete, but the box is pretty beat up on that, and it has a Blockbuster security sticker over the front of it.
Oh wow! It truly sounds like such a relic too, to have like that specific of a little label on it.
I love it. Yeah, and Mario Kart 64, I have that complete. That was my first game that I had for N64. Okay. When I saved up to buy one, that was the first system I bought myself.
Awesome.
So yeah, I want people to know I'm a filmmaker too.
Yes.
And I have a short film that I directed that was written by a great talented comedian named Joy Regulano. She wrote it, produced it, and acted in it. She's part of the Upright Citizens Brigade theater community as well. We've been screening it at film festivals, and we recently had like a cast and crew party. And as a wrap gift for them, I made and designed a physical DVD of the movie.
Oh wow!
With special features, audio commentary.
Oh my god!
Featurette on the composer.
Yes.
So you can buy that if you want. If you'd like to see the movie, you can buy a copy of the DVD for me for $5.
That's a deal of the century with all those special features on it too.
I know.
Dude, I feel like by giving me those details, you've told me so much about yourself that you must have just been such a special features guy.
Oh, yeah. I guess I was on TV shows, maybe in particular, when they'd have like an inside look on the episode of Seinfeld or something like that. And it'd be a little 9-minute documentary on the making of that episode.
Not so much like a DVD special features, like watch like all of the like deleted scenes and stuff like that.
I would do that too. Yeah, okay. I would watch the deleted scenes in Simpsons episodes, or occasionally audio commentary on a whole film. I'd like to watch more of those now and listen to more of those now in hindsight, because I feel like they're kind of lost media now that people didn't necessarily experience, you know.
I think so. It makes me feel a lot less crazy that I kept so many DVDs and Blu-ray discs that I actually just like reorganized last week. But I'm a sucker for that stuff. So in the attempt to not get us on too crazy of a tangent, that's awesome. Where can people is there a website for the short?
There is an Instagram for the short.
Cool.
It's Te Seguiré. It's Spanish. The Te Seguiré a la Oscuridad. It is Spanish for "I Will Follow You Into the Dark," which is Death Cab for Cutie song that Joy named the short film after, because it takes place in 2005. I guess all of this is relevant to talking about the retro gaming too. That's also why I made the DVD as well, because I was like, this is going to be standard def. This is what would have existed then, and it was a really fun project in itself to figure out how to make a DVD and get it made cheaply, but still look cool and packaged and in a case. And but yeah, there's an Instagram, Te Seguiré short film. you can find me on Instagram, Luciano_Nick_ or at Joy Regulano. And there's a trailer up there. And if you message me, I can send you a link so you can watch it on your phone or in high def instead of standard def on a DVD. And Connor, I'll just give you a DVD the next time.
Oh my gosh.
I see you.
I'm absolutely spoiled. I've already gotten my weight in gold on this podcast of the promise of a DVD for the movie. Well, that's incredible. And I'll totally take you up on that if you want. But that's amazing. I'm gonna put a link to at least the short, and then I can put the other two, you and Joy's Instagrams in the show notes if you want me to, so people can find you. But
yeah, I can give you the link to the trailer too. There's a Vimeo link to the trailer I can give you.
I'd love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you feel like sharing about yourself, or do you want to move on to some video game stuff?
I mean, I feel so inclined only to talk about video game stuff, but I guess I can say that I'm from Pennsylvania, Allentown, about 30 minutes from New Jersey, 90 minutes to 2 hours from Manhattan, and an hour north of Philadelphia. And I moved to Los Angeles about 16 years ago, shortly after graduating college.
Dude, I love it. Just 3 years ahead of me. Just a hair before I did after doing the exact same thing, but only about a 40-minute drive from Azusa rather than your trek across the country.
Yeah. I still have the same car that I drove across the country. My Honda Fit is still chugging along. I'm trying to drive it into the ground.
Incredible.
Yeah, I did drive across the country. That's right. Yeah.
Wow. Well, dude, I know we're going to get into some video game stuff, but thanks for sharing about yourself. Before we talk about your general history with video games, will you please tee up what you've brought on for the main event later and call me by your game?
The Call Me By Your game I have chosen is Mario Paint.
Beautiful. I love it. And the YouTube viewers are just getting a whole heap of deliciousness right now. Looking at the cartridge on screen, this is a huge reason to go watch this one. That's in great shape too. The label looks amazing.
Yeah. I don't have the box. It's not complete. I also have the original mouse.
Incredible. I was wondering.
Came with it. And I have the mouse pad.
Wow. And that's plastic, right?
This is just plastic, yeah.
Such a grating feeling. That's great.
This is in great condition.
Oh.
I have a Mario Paint player's guide that is in really good condition.
That's amazing.
That was my original that I had when I was a kid.
That's beautiful. Now, that's not an Earthbound situation where it came with the game, correct? That was probably a separate purchase?
Well, I don't know, because the game was a bigger box like the Earthbound one was. So it is possible, because I'm seeing this now for the first time. I'm holding up the player's guide against the mouse pad, and they are the same size.
Okay.
So I wonder if it did come with it. But I also had a Nintendo Power subscription at the time, or I might have purchased it separately, but that would be something to look into if it came with the mouse pad.
Yes. I bet we could figure that out. Well, awesome. I'm so pumped to get into that later. It's so timely, being that it's been on the brain for me because it, as you know, recently came to the Nintendo Switch Online subscription for the Super Nintendo library. So, yeah, it's great. This is an amazing title that I'm so glad on episode 258 we're finally going to get into with somebody. But when it comes to your general history with gaming, what are some of your earliest memories of video games? This could be of you playing or watching someone else play.
Yeah, early memories of video games. I definitely watched my dad and my grandfather play the original Atari when we would visit my grandfather. I remember receiving the original Nintendo console and being super excited to have gotten it. I was maybe like 4 or 5 or something, and we got it for Christmas, my brother, sister, and I, and remembered the magic of playing the original Mario Brothers for the first time. And I guess a significant memory that came a little later was playing Street Fighter 2 for the first time on Super Nintendo, and picking Blanca and beating my brother during our first match. Using like his headbutt move, which is like his medium, hit. I think I remember it was X on the Super Nintendo controller, and my brother was like 12 years older than me, so I remember that being a big deal that I could beat him on the first match. My brother
crowning achievement for a younger brother. Wow.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Finally getting the acknowledgement I've been craving. He worked at Blockbuster Video when I was, I don't know, I might have been like 7 or something, and it meant that he could bring home free rentals. So I got to play a lot of games through whatever he was bringing home. And I remember he took me to Toys R Us once, a couple of years after this, and Super Nintendo had been out for a little less than a year, and he was planning on buying one the whole time we were going there, and I didn't know it. And
oh my gosh.
We just went up to the checkout to get it, and we walked out with the Super Nintendo because he was buying it, and I remember just like jumping for joy in the parking lot.
That is so sweet and cute. I love that story.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that in a minute, and it's cool just talking about that time, because definitely was my relationship with my brother and playing video games with him was like a meaningful time growing up. Go ahead, sorry. Oh, I was just say he had also rented. I remember when he bought the Super Nintendo, it came with Super Mario World, but he had also rented Final Fantasy 2, which was 4, now, and that was like my first exposure to like the JRPG.
Yeah.
And really, actually, that's not true. I did play the first Final Fantasy on NES and like watch him play that, but that ended up being the first JRPG that I really got into when I was like 9, and that was a significant memory of just him. That was like one of the first games we had just laying around when he had bought the Super Nintendo for us.
Dude, I've got to know who's your favorite character in Final Fantasy 2/4? Because that was also my first Final Fantasy. I've never beaten it. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, you have to do it.
It's not even that hard of one. I know, but anyway,
just got stuck walking around the moon, or what?
I don't even think I've ever made it to the moon.
Okay, spoiler alert. You end up on the moon.
What I will tell you is the last time I played it, I was playing the Game Boy Advance version, which I have, and I got to the, I think it's called the Electric Cave, where you have to remove all your equipment that is like metal.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise you take a lot of damage or something, like the electricity knocks you out of the cave. I don't remember how it works, but that's the farthest I got the last time, but I think I've definitely gotten to like where, this is probably not even that far, where Cecil, spoiler alert, turns into a paladin from like a Dark Knight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have a favorite character or a favorite moment in that game?
Well, definitely after turning into the paladin, and did you get to the part where you've, I don't remember the boss's name, but you have the 2 twins with you when you do that? And you remember what happens to the twins? When they
basically turn themselves to stone.
Yeah. Yes. That was significant for me at that time. That I can totally remember, even just being a kid, like kind of diving into a game that has like a story that way and emotion, was significant without me realizing it at the time. That's probably my favorite moment. I think I really liked Kane. When I was a kid,
is such a badass, dude.
Yeah, just the design is cool. The jump just feels satisfying for some reason. Yeah,
dude, I think because of like also being familiar with Super Mario RPG, even though it didn't, could you get extra damage by timing a button press with his jump, or no?
I don't know. It is possible. I want to say no. I wanted to say no, but if that was in there, I wouldn't have known, I think, as a kid. And then I didn't, even realize that when I played the Pixel remaster sometime last year. Yeah.
Gosh, dude, before I'll move on to more stuff for you, I've already started to make, this is a trend, I always make the podcast a little bit about me, because if I get to ask somebody about themselves, I get to be a little selfish sometimes. But my best friend growing up, he grew up with a Super Nintendo as well, and he's going to love this episode because he's a Mario Paint guy, but Final Fantasy 2/4 is, I think, his personal favorite JRPG and one he introduced me to, like, at his house. So there's so many memories of this stuff. So you were a Super Nintendo kid as well. And one thing I wanted to ask you about before we move on, and obviously you're someone with a storied history, so we won't get to touch on every little detail of your history as a gamer, but I wanted to talk about the subject of your older brother and the age difference. I think you said he's 12 or 10 years older than you?
Yeah. He's probably like 11 and a half, 12 years older than me. Yeah.
I feel like that is such a... It's a great enough distance between siblings to where there's like no chance of there being not just a rivalry, but there's such a small chance of like disdain to have against each other unless things are just bad, I guess. But that seems like such a good age for an older sibling to be so much more mature to sort of like guide and shepherd you. Is there anything about this, especially when it comes to games, that you wanted to talk about as well? Because you telling me that Super Nintendo story just like warmed my heart.
Oh, that's cool. I love hearing that reflection. I think that, I do think that was one of the things that he passed along to me versus, sometimes an older sibling, like, here's music that you should listen to, or here's some movies you should watch. And I think he did that a little bit, but I think the thing that really stuck was the time playing video games with him and just having that experience with him. Like, he was really a curator of that for me, I think, at a young age. And I guess with art too, like, he was always very encouraging of, being creative. He used to make like stop motion movies with like his old Star Wars figures on a VHS camera. And then we would make movies together too. Or he would just like put me in these like random video projects he was working on his own, so just that he was just doing for fun because my dad had bought a VHS camera, when I was a kid. So yeah, I guess it is interesting the age difference, that he was 12 years older, so he was like another authority figure in the house. Yes. In a way. And then when my sister and my brother moved out, close to age 20, or, when my sister went to college, that it became, I was like an only child now in the house with my parents in a way. There was like a shift in terms of the family dynamic. So I definitely remember having that feeling impacted by that, by not being able to have this experience of playing games with my brother as often, and like the bond that we had was still there, but it just had changed. I remember that being challenging, sort of dealing with that change as it was happening, as a kid would be trying to understand that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thanks for letting me prod a little bit about that relationship and how it affected your life. I'm sure we could probably do who knows, maybe there'll be some Mario Paint stuff about you and your brother. I don't know, but maybe I
think there probably is, actually, I would say. Yeah. And what about you? Do you have siblings as well?
I have one younger sister. She's about 2 years younger than me. And yeah, it's the kind of the total opposite, where we were so close in age to where when we were young, especially, we did not get along very well. And we were just like kind of always butting heads at a certain age. And I also think I was not a very nice older brother, and she could also have her own personal tendencies as a younger sister who knew how to sort of work that angle. But so no, video games were not really a point of bonding. We would occasionally play together. Like, I remember the most we ever did was playing probably like a Mario Party or a like Banjo-Kazooie multiplayer mini game sort of thing, or Banjo-Tooie more specifically. But yeah, thanks for letting me ask you. Speaking of the N64, you said that was the first console that you remember, buying yourself. How was your relationship different to the N64 compared to, the previous consoles that you had such a significant time with?
I guess the N64 definitely, that was the system, at least when I guess I would have been like in middle school when that came out, there was more of a social aspect with GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
And Mario Party. I played GoldenEye a lot with people on the weekends. My one friend twice did this 24-hour game of GoldenEye where you were paired with somebody. It was 8 players, so you were paired with somebody that you could switch off of, but it was like a 24-hour game from, I don't know, maybe it was from like noon to noon the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would play like the game like unlimited time, so it just would keep going.
I see. Okay, that was going to be my question, was because I'm not familiar with the settings so much in like making like multiplayer matches, but that's incredible.
Yeah. So maybe there was that. There was more like of a social dynamic with that. It was definitely one that was at that point. My brother, I was playing less games with him, and this was maybe more I was playing these games with my friends. I guess I played the other systems with my friends too. It was the first time I really discovered Zelda because I hadn't played Link to the Past maybe all the way through. So Ocarina of Time was like my first Zelda game. Like I was always playing Final Fantasy on SNES, and so Ocarina was maybe the first one that I'd played. A Zelda game by myself and all the way through or something. So,
yeah, that also entirely my experience as well. I remember seeing either my friend or his older brother play it at their house, and I also had a Nintendo 64, but I didn't know about Zelda at the time, and it was kind of one of those experiences as a kid where as soon as I saw it, I knew I needed to play it someday.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I can relate there.
And you said you played the JRPG games with your friend who you played Final Fantasy 2/4 with. Did you play the other JRPGs with them? Did you play like Chrono Trigger?
We ended up discovering some of them. I played because he had them, and so I think he also had Final Fantasy 3/6, which I adored as well. But I more so, outside of like Pokemon, which was pretty much my actual first. I would consider that a variation of a JRPG. That was pretty much my first. A lot of it was experienced either through playing games that he already owned or through games that we found through emulation. Chrono Trigger was a game that I don't think either of us knew about until we had like figured out how to get a Super Nintendo emulator on because we each had like a computer at our houses, like our own personal computer.
Nice.
And so I know that we both discovered that game through emulation and just like clicking through like seeing a list of games and trying this one out. And then Chrono Trigger is amazing. He was a Super Mario RPG stan, so I knew that through him. He may have played other SNES JRPGs on this like at the time, but I don't remember if he had others. But since then, I've played, all of them. But I still have my points of shame. You already heard about. I have not finished Final Fantasy 4. I also have never finished 6.
No way! Oh,
I know, dude. The amount of times I've gotten to the World of Ruin, I probably gotten there like. I need 2 hands to count, but the last time I did it, I actually played it on cartridge in like 2021, and I got to the World of Ruin, and I ran out of gas. I didn't go find everybody.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I played. I recently was replaying 6 on the SNES Mini, and
I love that thing.
Got to a point of the World of Ruin where I just stopped, and I wish I'd gone back to it. But when I originally played it, I beat the whole thing. But that was when I was a kid as well. I actually still have I have the cartridge that from when I was a kid that still has my original game on it.
No way.
Like save it still works. It's still the game save is still on it.
That's so cool. Gosh, never to just be preserved forever. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We'll see how long the battery lasts.
Yeah.
I could ask you, Nick, hundreds of questions about your history with gaming because it sounds like there's just a mountain there. Were you going to say something before I continued on?
I guess I should just point out that I have this more recently, the relationship that I have with my father around games. And I'm not sure if you've seen these videos over the years, but I had made, in 2015, I made a video with my dad where I had him reenact every taunt animation from Super Smash Brothers.
No, I saw the recent one that you posted about you guys going to an arcade, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But that's
so
I don't know this one though.
Oh yeah. So I made this when Wii U came out. I'm sorry to go on this tangent here.
Dude,
when
this is Tangent the
on.
podcast. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, great. When Wii U came out, I think I was feeling bad about like playing video games instead of like being productive or something. You know, it was I was just having that thinking at that time. I was like, okay, well, I'll justify buying Smash Brothers by also making like a YouTube channel around gaming, which I made like 2 videos for it. But one of the videos I ended up making was asking my dad if he would be down to have me film him doing these taunt animations.
Awesome.
And over the holidays that year, I just I had all the taunts like queued up and I would play it and then he would try to do it and he was just down to do it. And then I lined them up next to each other. And this is pre people doing TikTok dances or whatever. And then the video went viral on Reddit and got all these really nice comments about the relationship I have with my dad and how my dad is like there were just lots of nice things about my dad and the relationship I have with him. So it was like something I was totally unexpected. And then he and I made like several other videos since then. And people gave us like the Wholesome Award on Reddit. And it was it was written about on Huffington Post and on Mashable and on Kotaku and stuff.
This makes me think that like I had to have seen this because I was on Reddit at the time and would have definitely like I'll look this up later, but
you might have seen it at the time. It was on Smash Brothers Reddit, is where I first had placed it, and then from there it just kind of took off on the other public. That was back when there was more, things, more publications, blogs, things like that. 2015 through 2018 or so.
Before they were all getting like gobbled up by venture capitalist firms and then just destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me on my high horse, Nick. I'll get really mad about VCs. That is so incredible. I love that little anecdote about you and your dad though. That's great.
Yeah, that's totally related to gaming, and I guess it ties into the filmmaking, all these kinds of things coming together. My dad really liked watching my brother and I play games too, and he just was entertained by like watching video games instead of just when we would play them instead of playing them himself, really.
Yeah, that's sweet. Well, before we fully move out of this segment in the effort to get us to the main event soon, I have just a couple questions I want to ask you. So the first of which is, being someone who's been a heavy gamer for a lot of your life, have you had what you would consider a dark period of video games, or like where there's been a time where you have just not really engaged or engaged the least for you?
Yeah, I guess I would say the least amount of time would have been between 2011 or so and 2015. Okay. So there was just that was probably the darkest period, I would say, which is not very long in the context of everything. But yeah, I would say around then was when I played the least. Maybe that was probably it. Just that 3-year period. That was like between Wii and Wii U. I was primarily a Nintendo person.
Okay, yes. Kind of a dark time to be a Nintendo fan, as far as like the home console goes.
Yeah, there wasn't that much, I feel like, being released at that point. I got a Wii U only because Smash Brothers was going to be coming out for it. I bought a bundle with Mario 3D World,
Oh, wow.
At one point. But yeah, I guess that would be probably the darkest period, because I still played in college.
Yeah.
You know, I played throughout high school. I play now.
Amazing.
You know? So,
how
about you? What was your dark period? Maybe you've talked about this enough on the podcast, but you don't strike me as having one.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. The truth is, it was actually probably very similar. Probably because in 2011, I was a sophomore, junior in college. And then probably up into like the Wii U's era, I similarly didn't get a Wii U until Super Smash Brothers Wii U was coming out. I guess that was the title. But I also got the one for 3DS because I loved that series. But yeah, I would say what got me back into gaming in a serious way was the announcement of the Nintendo Switch. I saw the first trailer that dropped from it. I don't know if do you remember this trailer of the guy playing his Zelda on his TV and then he takes his Switch to the park?
Yeah, totally remember that. Definitely remember being in the park. Yeah.
Yes, that I just knew. I was like, this is going to be special and I'm not missing it. And so even leading up to the Switch's release, I was playing a lot more games for about 6 months, just getting excited. Not even all Nintendo stuff. But so yeah, probably that. Maybe 2011 to about 2016, and I was still playing games. Like I was basically replaying my favorites, like some of the Zeldas. I was replaying the Halo games. I was playing games that friends had given me once they had given up the hobby. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that for me. And lastly for you, Nick, is looking ahead. What is a game that you have seen, whether it's on its way out or that's already out, that you are really interested in playing? And again, this could be something in your backlog or an unreleased title, kind of whatever fits the bill for you.
Oh, interesting. So a game, to clarify, a game that's out already or something that's been out that I haven't played before?
Well, basically... Yeah. What's a game you're interested in playing? It could still be unreleased, but have you seen anything that you've been like, I really want to play that?
There hasn't been. I guess not. I mean, I recently purchased DK Bonanza.
Yes.
And I've played it a little bit, and I've really enjoyed it. So I definitely want to play that more than I have in the last couple weeks. But that seems like kind of a cop-out of an answer.
That's a pretty good answer.
I've never played... I'm thinking about old game. I can't stop thinking about old games. I've never played Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
I don't know if that holds up to play now. You know, if I decided to play like a port of it or something like that.
Dude, I think it will hold up. I say this because I didn't play it for the first time until about 3 years ago, and we have like several people. We have a Discord for our podcast network that I can always send you. I don't know if you're a Discord guy, I can send you an invite to it, but we have a couple people playing through it for the first time who just keep chiming in on the like, what are you playing sort of channel, who also are falling in love with it. So I would say it's worth a shot. Even if it doesn't stick with you, I think it's totally worth trying out.
Okay, cool. I'm excited about playing the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster.
Cool.
Because I have that as well, and I haven't played it. Again, not that exciting of an answer, perhaps.
Still, no, I like all three of these answers for sure. Well, incredible, dude. Nick, we're gonna go to a break really quick, but dude, thank you for sharing about just some of your history with video games. I know we could have done that for a long time.
I know we could have just gone on and on about this for sure.
Yes, there's sometimes I'll have a guest on. It's fun to have all walks of gamer. I think my last guest, Liliana, who's a friend of the show, is probably someone who's played the least amount of games that I've ever had on the show, but she still had something to share about. But dude, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll finally get into all things Mario Paint. So Nick, I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game. Connor McCabe returning to the microphone after a little break with my guest, Nick Luciano. Nick, welcome back.
Thank you. So good to be back.
It's a thrill. Before the show, I was telling you how before we dive into your personal history with Mario Paint, I'm going to do a little table setting for this game. And again, I know you said you didn't really have anything you were going to share history-wise, but Nick, if you feel the urge, you still have the green light. I want you to know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But without further ado, I'll just monologue for a couple paragraphs. Here I go. Mario Paint is a 1992 art creation video game developed by Nintendo Research and Development 1, referred to as R&D 1 over at Nintendo, and Intelligent Systems, and published by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Mario Paint consists of a graphics editor, an animation program, a music composer, and a point-and-click minigame. I believe that's the Fly Swatter game they're referring to, all of which are designed to be used with the Super NES mouse peripheral, which the game was packaged and sold with. Per its name, the game is Mario themed and features sprites and sound effects that are taken from or in the vein of Super Mario World. It's essentially a rudimentary, might be a almost like sort of a defamatory way to refer to this game, but it is a like children's art studio in a way that you could use on the Super Nintendo. It sold very well following its release and is one of the best selling games on the system, with over 2.3 million copies sold back in the day, and it was released to fairly positive reviews. Critics highlighted its accessibility, features, and innovative design, and of course its educational potential, which was also part of the marketing beat for this game as well. I've seen a couple of, this is me getting off the beaten path a little bit, but Nick, I've seen some great commercials from the back in the day, and this game was marketed both to children and to parents because they're trying to sell parents on the idea of, we're giving your children not a chance to be an artist, but like an artistic way to engage with their video game system that you're so afraid of.
That's amazing.
Yes, so silly, but that's how they mark, because of course the parents are probably the ones buying this game for their children.
And it's a very, very 90s style commercial as well.
Absolutely, yeah. They did it. I want to say there's at least 3 spots that I have personally seen in recent memory. Let's see. A successor game titled Mario Artist for the Nintendo 64 was released in Japan in 1998. Mario no Fotopi. And then this was actually followed by a series called Mario Artist, released for the 64 disk drive, the 64DD, starting in 1999. However, only 4 titles were released in Japan before the next game was canceled. And these games never made their way to the United States or other regions, but they did exist. And this game was, we talked about it earlier, but we highlighted that it has recently been released on the Nintendo Switch Online service for the SNES library. So this is a game that people can now play on their Nintendo Switch. And if you've got a Switch too, you can use the Joy-Con as a mouse. So as a way to sort of emulate the phenomenon of what people were able to do back in the day. Nick, that's my basic history and context for this title. But when it comes to your history with it, do you remember how this game came into your life, or was it just there one day?
I think it, as it was being marketed, and wonderful description, by the way, of this time in history in gaming. I just want to acknowledge that. And I think when it was marketed at that time, it must have been marketed to me. So I had Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
It was probably on TV. And I do recall getting it for Christmas or something like that. Christmas or my birthday. My birthday is pretty close to Christmas. And I think that's how I came to own it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, do you remember at all either in the anticipation for the game itself or getting into interacting with it, what stood out to you at the time?
I remember really enjoying... So I have this player's guide that I mentioned earlier in the episode, and within the player's guide, so in the game, it's basically like MS Paint, but for Mario and Mario themed, right? And as like fun music, and you could make custom stamps in it that you could stamp all over like a drawing you would do. Now in the player's guide, it teaches you how to make like pixel by pixel, like really like characters from existing games. So you could make Mega Man. I'm going to show a visual here.
Oh my gosh.
But this is showing basically, I don't know how many stamps that is. That's almost like 18 stamps or something to make Mega Man and Rush and the Battletoads. So this player's guide, I remember I love looking at this now too. So I'm looking at these stamps that you can make from the player's guide, and it would take like 4 stamps combined to make a cool Michelangelo like head from Ninja Turtles. And I remember thinking that was so awesome. And just wanting to make all of these stamps.
Yes.
And and you can make rudimentary animation with them too, like maybe a frame or 2 difference, and then drag it across the screen of a illustration you did. And I remember really just enjoying being creative that way, and also doing that, with my brother, because he would mess around with it too.
Yes. I love that. I mean, this is getting into more of your personal history, but you had shared with me before something that was kind of common at the time, in that you recorded on a VHS back in the day some of your animations that you had made. And this was something that I've heard so many anecdotes from people on the internet about. This exact same thing they would do is record their animations on a tape. And yeah, so I was just kind of bringing that idea up in general.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I found this VHS tape, and I knew it existed in my parents' house somewhere. There's a VHS tape that I had made at that time where I would record. Somehow my brother connected the VCR to the TV that we were using, and I would record these different animations that I made in Mario Paint. And I digitized that sometime in the last 2 years. So when it was released for the Switch, I was like, I need to find that video.
Yeah.
And I uploaded it unlisted to YouTube and just sent it to you. And it's so fun to look at these different animations. So I think that was probably tied into the part of me that was going to want to make movies too. Yes. and edit, that I got some kind of satisfaction of making the thing, and then watching it again, and then also showing it to people.
I remember something that stood out to me about the video that you sent was some of them are animations or little character moments, and then some of them are just like almost like a holiday animation you made for your parents. Like I think there was like a Valentine's Day one you made saying like love Nick or something like that.
Yeah, I made like I would make cards.
Yes.
In Mario Paint that I taped on this tape and then showed it to. I may have just taped it on the tape and showed it to them, but I also probably just like, hey, come and look at your card on the Super Nintendo. I may have done that too. Yeah, and I'd completely forgotten about that until looking at these recordings again. I'm so glad that these recordings exist, because I definitely would not remember making these. But yeah, there was like I drew Homer Simpson, and it says something like, maybe I don't remember how old my dad was, but it says, you don't want to, you might look like this, but you don't want to look like this. It was like a whole other drawing that I did, but I don't care how you look, because you're my dad. So it was like 3, and I guess I did record that on the tape, because there were 3 individual drawings that I did in Mario Paint with music, and then showed it to him afterwards. So yeah, it was kind of interesting that it was used as a way of showing, love for my family, I guess.
Yeah, that stood out to me. And also there's something about using this type of program, a game I've only ever dabbled with, because like I told you, I didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo. But it reminds me so much of my own patience with such a meticulous form of artistry growing up. I had similar programs or other programs where I would just spend hours and hours and days on making one little drawing or one little animation. Is that something that resonates with you about your time with the game?
I guess so. Yeah, it must have tapped into something there that otherwise because I look at it now. I looked at it on the Switch 2 Virtual Console and it was like, oh, it's interesting that you can do this, but for some people they might look at it and be like, there's nothing here. There's nothing to do. But for me at that time, I did so much with it. You know,
Yes.
it enabled so much. You know, in me as a creative outlet, I guess. You know. What games are you referring to that tapped into that for yourself?
Well, one, I'll actually say I'm going to save because it might be a part of your game recommendations at the end of the show.
Ooh, okay.
But I remember, I'm trying to think of other similar programs that gave me, I mean, a very similar point of comparison would be something like Microsoft Paint, which I used to spend hours and hours in. I remember even on more of this is kind of gets in the category of edutainment. I remember playing games at school on the computer, and in 6th grade when we were studying the Egypt in 6th grade, we had this computer program that was kind of a movie making software where it was all 2D, but it had like pre-made sprites basically of little pharaohs, of ships, of a desert background, of the pyramids. And I remember we had to make projects in 6th grade. We had to like make a little narrative, and instead of making my own original narrative, I basically remade Spaceballs but in Egypt. And
oh my god,
it like I remember spending lunchtime at school in the computer lab trying to continue working on my project, because as opposed to being outside doing something else that I really loved, like playing basketball or whatever. So I can just relate to, and that's why I was asking you about
that. Sounds amazing that you did. And do you remember how long it was, your project in the end?
I think, I mean, I definitely didn't make the whole movie, but I did go scene by scene and at least the first act, I think. And I think I actually got in trouble because of you know, the adult nature of the humor in that game. Because I think it didn't, this is way too much about me, but there wasn't a way, at least in that, at the time, they didn't have a microphone in the computer lab to record voice audio, so I think I was just narrating it and doing all the voices.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That, I mean, if that existed somewhere,
gosh,
that would be incredible to watch today.
I know. You know? I'd probably be equal parts proud of young me and embarrassed at the same time.
I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, these games where you could make your own animation with existing like sprites, you said, or there was like a Spider-Man cartoon maker that I had on CD-ROM that was like from like the 90's animated show, and you would record on your Windows mic while the characters were going by. There's a little bit of a helicopter flying over right now.
Oh, I thought, because my phone kept buzzing and I like turned it off, and I thought that's all I was hearing. But
it's
no,
gone
I mean,
now,
this whole
subject
of these creative outlets for kids like ourselves at the time, of giving us a taste of what it felt like to animate or make a song or just draw, was really spectacular. Do you remember from your time with the game, did you ever have, I mean, I know you got to rewatch some of your videos from the past, but do you have one that stood out to you the most, or that's like top of mind for you?
Out of all those, my experience with the game, or within those animations?
I would say either way, if an animation comes to mind or just a general experience.
Yeah, I guess a general experience. Well, in the animations it was interesting to see. My brother had made one of, it was like a brick wall, and it said like wanted, and it was like a stamp with Venom's head from Spider-Man on it. And I remember that time being kind of like, that one stood out to me as like, oh, in that moment I was like, oh, my brother's like cool. Like I was still like, that bond I was talking about before was still kind of there. So I think that was significant. But I also remember being like a petty, like jealous little brother when he started dating his girlfriend at the time. And so there's like his initials with now my sister-in-law ended up marrying her.
Oh my gosh.
His initials like ML and LD are like spray painted in the brick wall on that image.
Yes.
So that really popped as like as funny that he did that, but also of like, oh yeah, that was that time. I remember that time being like, oh, she's getting in the way of this video game bond I have with you right now, you know, and feeling like, and having like feelings about that as a kid, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that I feel like is starting to get us into any of the context that we might be able to dive into today. But I want to start by, Nick, can you do some scene painting for me and sort of describe the room where the Super Nintendo would have been hooked up?
Oh man, when you say scene painting, you want me to draw it in Mario Paint on the podcast?
I want you to go get your Switch 2, plug it in your HDMI to your capture card. I'd love for you to describe what that room was like, and like if there were windows, what floor it was on. It
was in the basement of my parents' house.
Okay.
It wasn't officially a basement because it was like one of those houses. I'm sure there's a better way to describe this, but when you walk in, you can either go upstairs or downstairs as soon as you step into the foyer. And you'd walk downstairs, maybe about eight steps, carpeted steps. Ooh. And kind of this like shag mustard color carpeting on the floor that's still there, and wood paneling around like all the walls to the right. And then it was kind of like a den with a sofa and a couch and like a small-ish CRT TV and one of those big wooden entertainment centers, those like big square entertainment centers with shelving. And I would basically either sit on the floor in front of the TV there. There were windows in the basement too that went out to the backyard. It was like below ground, and the windows was where the ground started. And there was a half bath over there too. I could keep describing the. Dude,
you could just never leave. You could live there.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean that's what I did. I guess at that time that is where I would spend a lot of time, was just playing the Super Nintendo in that basement.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, that's also where I spent the time playing NES with my brother. Eventually I think I got a TV in my room, and that's where I played N64.
Cool.
You know, but yeah, that's kind of what the basement looked like. Definitely had that. The house was built in 78, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. This is already putting me in a time and place, which I really love. And my grandparents had a very the same thing at their house, where you walked in and it was in this like foyer that was such a small little landing area, and you went up or down. And then, so the way you described it is, it's taken me back to St. Louis. Well, it's Alton, Illinois. It's close to St. Louis. But, from that time in your life, I know you had dipped into some of the, feelings and memories of your brother, but what were things you would have been up to? What comes to mind from that era?
Yeah, I guess I would have been like 10 at that time. So I was maybe in like 5th grade or so. And I remember the snow and that winter being particularly like a heavy winter. And maybe I don't actually remember it, and it's just because I referenced the winter in the Mario Paint animations. Sure, yeah. And what's cut out of the video I sent you is actual footage that was shot on a VHS tape, like of my parents' cul-de-sac and this gigantic snow pile.
Whoa.
At that time. Yeah, I don't remember what else was going on in my life, I guess, but that's just what it was like living in Pennsylvania over there. It was like there was a lot of snow in the winter. All the snow would get piled up into a cul-de-sac at the end, and me and the other kids on the block. There were a lot of kids my age. We all went to school together too, and we'd play, kickball, basketball. That's where I started becoming a hooper, I guess.
It was your early days.
Yeah. capture the flag, all that kind of thing, like with these kids on the street. So
awesome. Do you have any memories that come to mind with that group of kids? Like, was there a day where you guys got into like the most mischief you ever did or the most fun you ever had?
A lot of the kids on my street would do things like build traps in the woods.
Oh, really?
For us to like fall into or get hurt by.
Oh no.
And I was like kind of like a compliant good boy, you know, whereas like I was like, oh, we're gonna get in trouble, like we shouldn't do that or whatever. So I would kind of like stay away when they were doing stuff like that. But they were also kids who had like BB guns.
Of course.
But there were I never had one. And so they would always be doing stuff like that. Like there were like woods around this, like kind of outside the yard on the street that I lived on, and they would like build these traps in a creek. And then this other kid, he would like go and try to destroy everything that they would make. And there was like this rivalry between them, but then we would all just hang out together too, you know. Yeah.
I do love that idea though of someone dismantling the traps and trying not to get caught in them himself. That's fantastic. Neighborhood mischief or like neighborhood like political dynamics are so interesting, especially as a kid.
I used to walk to the South Mall in Allentown from my parents' house. This is significant because that was one of the first things I could do without an adult when I was in middle school, and go to the arcade there, and I would play like Killer Instinct there.
Ooh.
But I feel like on that walk there would be mischief sometimes, like trying to knock down like a light pole for no reason, like stuff like that.
Yes, if there's something, it must be messed with.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. When it comes to, you know, as we sort of maybe start to tie a bow on this conversation, thinking back to Mario Paint, what is the thing that if you could put a finger on it, that was so meaningful to you, or memorable if it was more memorable than meaningful? Do you have the ability to like pinpoint what that kind of was for you at the time?
I think it was just having that creative outlet, in a way, and that just like really tapped into something meaningful for me that I probably can't describe, but just the act of like being able to make something and look at it. And I mean, we could do that with a drawing, and I did that. I feel like I would draw, I'd make little comics and stuff on paper, and to be able to do that with like on a video game, which I also love, and have that and share that with my brother, I think really there's something about that, because it's not really a game I've thought about much like since that time.
Sure.
But when I think about it, it's like, oh, I have a lot of nostalgia for that game, and it might not be a game that other people that I know have that same connection with. So I think it definitely tapped into the creative part, especially seeing that I was making stuff for my family. Like it must have just been this like obsession, I want to say, for like a 5-month span that then that ended probably abruptly, and I moved on to the next game or something after that summer. That I think I had it over a winter, or got it that Christmas, and I don't know what that would have transitioned to, but definitely was like an important piece, I think, to connect with the video gaming and to creativity as well. And we didn't mention you can make your own music, own custom music in it too. And this player's guide, I think, had like you could plug in the Star Wars theme, you know.
Oh, cool.
You could plug in just different things using this guide. So to see that what was possible is really interesting.
That's amazing, and it's cool to see as well for you how, you know, both creativity and video games are still passions of yours in some way. And to see you continue to be, you know, like a creator and a filmmaker, and also enjoy yourself modern and retro video games. I can totally see why this game would have at least hit home for you during that 5-month period.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it's not something I even really put together till we had this lovely conversation.
Hey, I love it. It's why we do it. Well, Nick, we got a couple of post-show segments I'll lead you into, but thank you so much for bringing on Mario Paint to share about today. This was awesome hearing from you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for wanting to talk about it.
Of course. Well, as far as the post-show segments today, normally I would do a Fact Me by Your Game segment where I share fun facts with you about Mario Paint. But instead of doing that today, I'm going to leave a link in the show notes, and I'll share it with you as well, to the story of Mario Paint, which is a video by one of my favorite YouTubers called The Gaming Historian, who basically made just a sort of a documentary about this game and the connections that, so it's about the development of the game, but also the connections that people had back in the day with it. I bet there will be some stuff that really resonates with you, Nick. So to the listener at home, all this guy's stuff is great. I love he has a great series about the Super Mario Brothers series period of like the Mario Land games, including Wario Land. It's awesome. But
very cool.
So yeah, and in lieu of a fact, I'll give everyone a documentary that I had nothing to do with, but I'll lead us into the final segment of the show, the game recommendations. Now, Nick, this is my one forced tie-in to the movie Call Me By Your Name, where I'm going to treat Mario Paint like your passionate summer fling that you had in Italy, and in order to help you get over the heartbreak of that relationship not working out, I've got 3 potential new flings to introduce you to. So really, all I need to know is, are you ready to get back out there?
I think I'm ready. Yeah.
I love that. That's all I needed to hear. So these all have a little something in common with the game you brought on today. And I have 3. The first of which is if you like making art on your video game systems. This is the game I refrained from telling you about earlier. This is called Microsoft 3D Movie Maker. Now, this game is probably really difficult to find a way to play it nowadays, but this is a movie making program from 1995 made by Microsoft, and this is actually the game I talked about on my episode of this show, for episode 100, where this is a game that I think you would have loved as a kid, where, I mean, it's more of software than anything, where you could just tell all sorts of stories, and the tools were limited in their own way as well, kind of like Mario Paint, but it was also kind of amazing what you could do within that limited tool set.
Incredible recommendation. You know, I actually, for the short film I talked about at the top, it took place in 2005, so I ended up buying a compact Presario tower computer from the early 2000s with Windows XP loaded on it. So it's possible this game could run on there.
Dude, if that thing works, I still have 2 copies. I have 2 burned copies from my childhood of this game that I could always let you borrow. Even, I feel like tinkering around with it, you might be fascinated by, even if you barely interact. But again,
it'd be interesting to make a movie on that and try to submit it to film festivals.
Yeah.
You know, who's making movies on Microsoft 3D Movie Maker these days?
It might surprise you to find out that there is a community out there who still engage with this. Yes.
Yeah, people are way ahead of it then.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's
worth checking
awesome.
out. Now, secondly, I guess I'll just read the line I have here. Mario Paint? More like Mario Build. Why don't you try out Super Mario Maker, Nick?
I've tried it.
Okay, great. I should have figured being a Wii U owner. Did you ever play? I missed one because I didn't get it on the Wii U, but I did love Mario Maker 2.
Oh, nice. I actually have one for Wii U.
Cool.
And I don't have the more recent one.
It's awesome, but it definitely lost some of the touch of being able to use the gamepad and the stylus to build a level.
Right. Yeah, that was so helpful to be able to do that.
Yeah, so Super Mario Maker, you're already familiar. And I have my final recommendation for you is that if, I was looking at this game and I'm like, this game takes a video game and gives you, if you have a passion for Mario or just art in general, it gives you such a playground for self-expression. If Nick, you're done with that. You're like, I'm not expressing myself anymore. In fact, I want to ingest some art that is basically heartless. I'll recommend going to watch the Super Mario Brothers movie by Illumination because I think that movie stinks.
That's your recommendation?
That's my hot take.
To watch a movie you think stinks?
Yeah, that's my hot take, is that if you're in the mindset now of like you just want the opposite of creativity, I'll recommend that movie. And I'm sorry if you like the movie, or if people out there listening probably like it. I've never talked about this on the show because it's never had a chance to bring it up. Thought the movie was very low effort and really bummed me out when I saw it. Which that might just be an expectations thing as an adult going to see an animated movie. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess. I mean, we could keep talking about this if you really want. But definitely it feels like a movie sort of made for children.
Absolutely.
Versus like the people who came up with the games. And a lot of the needle drops with the songs,
yes,
bumped me a little bit when they have all this great music that they could pull from.
Yeah. Did you know that they actually composed music for those moments in the movie, but replaced them with needle drops?
No, I did not know that.
The songs are out there and they're really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look for that.
Anyway, sorry to take, your final recommendation as my chance to just give a hot take, but your recommendations again are Microsoft 3D Movie Maker, Super Mario Maker, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. Nick, that'll do it for that segment, and that'll bring us to the end of the show. So before we go and plug whatever we want, like we did at the top, dude, thanks again for taking the time to do this. This was awesome having you on the show.
Yeah, I loved having this conversation and diving into Mario Paint and just our gaming history together.
It was a blast. I know you plugged a movie up top, but what do you want to? Would you mind replugging on your way out, just in case the listener missed it up top?
I would love to. Yeah. So I have a short film that I directed and edited. That's a comedy short film called Te Seguiré a la Oscuridad, which is Spanish for "I Will Follow You into the Dark." The writer wrote it, Joy Regulano, based on her experience in high school, being obsessed with Death Cab for Cutie and that song. And I have a DVD of it if you'd like to buy it, but I can also send you a private link at the moment. It's at film festivals now, and it'll be on Vimeo Public at some point. I'd also like to plug this Mario Paint video in the show notes.
Yes.
One little segment I did not mention. There's a hilarious animation that I made of Leonardo decapitating Yoshi in it on repeat, and it's on a loop in there. So yeah, and I guess that's all I have to really plug. Find me on Instagram at Luciano_Nick_. Message me and I can send you links to any stuff that you don't find in the show notes.
I'd love it. I'll be sure to include all of that in the show notes, and then that also includes the stuff that I'll plug for the podcast right here. The cover art for Call Me By Your Game is done by Glenn J. You can find a link to his Instagram and his other cool works in the show notes as well. This podcast is produced, edited, and the original music that you hear throughout is done by Jeremy Schmidt. If you want to thank him for his hard work on this podcast, you can go ahead and listen to his Video Games, a Comedy Show, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find our show all over social media. If you'd like to give us a follow, there's a whole video version of this on YouTube. If you are listening to the audio format, there's a link in the show notes for that. You can follow us on Blue Sky and Instagram as well. We'd love to get our follower numbers up there, so if you want to go and give us a click. You can find more stuff about the network at Super NPC Radio all over social media. I'm at Connor McCabe on Blue Sky if you want to follow me there. And then lastly is that if you've listened to this podcast and you're like, Connor, I love the conversations you have with people about video games. I just can't get enough. I want more. Do you make bonus video game podcasts every month? Listener, I do. And if you want to check that out, you can go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/supernpcradio, where we have a ton of bonus video game podcasts for you there, including our Games Club series, where every quarter we cover a different game in a book club style format. We are at the very end of our coverage for Death Stranding 2. We only have 2 more episodes that we're going to record, and if you're listening at the time of this episode's release, there will be 2 more to come out on Patreon. But also, if you're like, I want to check that out, or I'm not able to, give money to you guys and support you in that way, we've got old series in the free feed at Super NPC Games Club, where currently our BioShock series is airing from about 1.5 years ago. So there's plenty of stuff behind a paywall and for free. Check it out. It's all in the show notes. But that'll do it for another episode of Call Me By Your Game. We will see you on the next one.